What's your name and what you do?
I'm Damian Sheridan. I'm the sales director of Stoltz Kitchens.
It's been a tough year for everyone. What's been your personal highlight, Damian?
My personal highlight of this year is that I got married in September, and it was probably 6 months of will it happen, won't it happen? Mainly because of coronavirus, but partly because I've been trapped in the house for 6 months with my missus, and I was only surprised that she turned up on the day, but there you go. So getting that done was good. It was obviously restricted numbers, but it was a great day. It was very cozy and really memorable and really touching and emotional. And yeah, I bawled my eyes out, and yeah, it was all good. Couldn't go on a proper honeymoon abroad, so we went on a local honeymoon in the UK, and ended up spending the money on a puppy instead. But so personally, there's been quite a lot going on, and a lot that has been successfully accomplished when we weren't sure whether it was going to or not. From a business point of view, I think the biggest accomplishment is that the business has adapted and survived. We're only 3 years old. We have a lot of experience in the business, but as Stoltz, we're only 3 years old, and to come out of the previous lockdown, going back into this one, but this year, you know, the numbers are holding up, the opportunities are still there. I think that we are nimble and have shown great resilience, and we have a great team of people, and that's really the most important thing. It's you know, the directors can take the headlines and stuff like that, and when we talk about, you know, as a business, the experience we've got, a lot of that is in the senior team, but without the rest of the team pulling out all the stops the way they have done, adapting the way they haven't cared what their job title is. They've got on with it and got the job done, and that's really the ethos of the business. I'm really proud of that.
What did you learn during the first lockdown?
I think what became clear was how important communication is, and obviously external communication with suppliers and customers was important. But what really struck me was how important internal communication was as well. Lots of people are now working from home. A lot of people are not used to it. They miss the office banter, the personal interaction, the mickey taking, the sort of water cooler talk, just the non-work stuff that people need to get through every day. And without that personal interaction, people can feel very isolated. And I've worked from home for 25 years. It takes a certain mindset. You have to be used to it. And I think that talking to people who aren't used to it and allowing them to talk about non-work stuff as well. I think when you have a Zoom call or a Teams call or even just a phone call with someone who's working from home, the danger is it becomes purely about the issue that you talk about at work. If you're in the office, you would have a bit of a chat. How's your day gone? What you're watching on Netflix? Whatever it may be. And I think that people actually need to have that break from working from 8 till 6. It can't be 100% work on the speed all the time, because people will burn themselves out and they'll get stressed and they will end up making mistakes because they're working too hard. And actually having that personal interaction that allows them to slow it down a little bit is good for them, and they need it for their mental health as well. Other things that we've learned, I think, try to be more efficient, because it is harder doing things as a segregated business. If you're going to have a meeting and you're going to bring people online, the one benefit of doing that, as opposed to being in an office, is that you don't get dragged into meetings you don't need to be in. So have a meeting that actually is only relevant for those people. And for myself, I think making sure that there's a structure to the day, and that's one of the big things I've learned from working from home is, you know, when I first started working from home and my kids were all young, I would still put on a shirt and tie so that they knew I was at work. So that, you know, the fact that Dad was at home didn't mean that he could then play Barbie dolls. That was for the lunch break. But I think having that sort of structure to the day is important, and in a way, making sure that if you get up and you give yourself the goals that you want to achieve during the day, that helps as well, because there is a danger that you get up and you have a cup of tea and you just check Sky Sports News and the dog needs to go out, and then I'll just have some toast, and then it's 11 o'clock and nothing's been done. And there is a danger with working from home that can happen. So keeping that structure in place is important. Thinking time. As a travelling salesman for all those years, the hour and a half trip back from meetings was when I gave myself a lot of thinking time. And I think that part of what lockdown 1 showed me was I need to create that thinking space myself, because it's very easy to get to your desk at 7:45 in the morning, leave it at 6:15, and you haven't actually thought about the strategic stuff, the global planning. It's all issue to issue or sale to sale or presentation to presentation, and actually having that thinking time I think is really important as well.
What are you going to do to support those around you over the next few weeks?
I think one of my skills is to be a bit of a sounding board. People will talk to me and bounce things off me, and I'm quite good at soaking up that sort of stuff and putting some perspective on it. It is a challenge to remain positive. It is a challenge to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. And I think that, the advice I can give about working from home and like I said, I've done it for 25 years. I've been through 2 or 3 recessions. I've had tough markets before. Salesmen will have bad days. I think generally as a salesman, you sort of have 10 good months, 2 bad months. That's roughly the rule that tends to work. So having that sense of perspective and having the ability to give people a chance to calm down and just say, look, the stress and worry is something that will eat away at you and will end up hurting you. You have to find a way, and you have to find a way to put it into perspective against everything else that needs to be doing. I came into kitchens sort of 20 odd years ago. The guy who recruited me, Brian Beasley, was recovering from a heart attack, and he said to me, if you can't change it and it won't kill you, don't put too much stress on it. And I've lived my life that way ever since. It doesn't mean that you ignore problems. It doesn't mean that you don't take on challenges. It doesn't mean that you don't try and overachieve. But there's only so much that is with your control. Give it your best shot. But if you can't do any more than you've done and you've absolutely given your best, you have to be able to sleep at night without worrying about it.
How do you keep yourself positive? What are you doing to keep positive?
I'm lucky that I have a fairly positive mindset anyway, I think. It's about, from my point of view, I've always been a goal setter. I've always been wanting to achieve something. I find it quite negative if I haven't got stuff done during the day, and that drives me through. Having time with the family, having time with the wife, walking the dog, that's all important. Finding those dog poos which look just like the leaves as you're walking around in your flip-flops is not ideal, but it keeps you positive because it gets you out in the fresh air and doing some exercise. So there's things like celebrating the successes, however small they may be. Learn from the losses. Those things will go on. It's always better to aim high and miss than aim low and hit. And I think if you keep striving for that gives you that sort of inbuilt self-positivity, because most people are good at what they do. Most people want to do a good job. They want to achieve. And I think I'm good at what I've done. I've had a lot of success. I'm not content with what I've achieved. I want to drive on and do more. And I'm really proud of what our business is doing. We want to be different to everyone else. And that comes from striving to achieve more.
What would you like to say to give others some inspiration?
I think it's about getting the balance right between being work and home life. There is still lots of opportunity out there. Businesses should keep pushing on, but afford yourself the time to relax and have downtime too, to give yourself that self-recovery. It's okay to have a down day. It's okay to have a breather. It's okay to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're a salesman phoning everyone from home, no one's picking up the call it a day, because actually you'll do a better job tomorrow when you pick it up again. We're all in the same boat, we're all in the same storm, but we face different sizes of waves. And I think it's important that you lean on those people around you as well. If you're running a team, don't think you know it all, because your team, those at the coalface, will have better ideas than you've got about how to do the day-to-day job. So keep the communication going. We're all in it together, learn from each other and lean on each other.